She didn't scream when she said it. She wasn't angry. She wasn't emotional. She simply looked at me across the dining table, our dining table, and released the words like a quiet execution. The best gift you could give this family is disappearing. My ex-husband is back. He belongs with me and my son, not you. One day before my stepson's wedding. The clock was still ticking behind her. The same clock I bought when she told me this house felt like a fresh start. The same house I paid for, renovated, built a life in. A thin smile crossed her lips as if she'd finally rehearsed the perfect line. Then she slid her wedding ring onto the table. I stared at the gold band for a long time. I waited for the punchline, for regret, for panic. Nothing, just silence. A silence that cut deeper than any screaming could. "So, I should leave?" I asked, calm, careful. She shrugged. Not even enough respect to look conflicted. That would be the mature thing. My son and I deserve better than being tied to your past. Peter deserves a real father by his side. His real father. The last sentence settled like dust on my shoulders. It was the moment I realized I had been living inside someone else's plan. And I whispered only 2 words. "Understood, Emily." Inside, something shifted. Not hurt, not heartbreak, something colder. A strategy. Her betrayal didn't surprise me, not really. I had smelled something strange weeks earlier. A phone that suddenly locked, messages cleared, late-night calls that ended when I walked into the room. I told myself I was imagining it. I told myself the wedding stress was warping my thinking. But the truth is never loud. It hides in the quiet. A forgotten receipt in her purse for a hotel 2 towns away. A men's jacket in the trunk of her car that didn't belong to me. A tiny shift in her behavior around her ex-husband. He became a frequent topic, then a casual visitor, then a trusted friend. She once said he was the past, but her eyes told a different story. And her son, Peter, my stepson, whom I raised like my own, had changed. Slowly. Coldly. One day he looked me straight in the eyes at dinner and asked, "Why are you still here?" That was the seed. Not the question. The ownership behind it. They didn't need me anymore. They only needed the stability, the house, the money, the future I built. All I had been to them was a stepping stone back to their previous life. They didn't want a husband. They wanted a placeholder. And the wedding tomorrow was simply the final stage of removing me from the picture. The betrayal wasn't emotional. It was logistical, calculated. They assumed I would stay silent and accept it. They assumed I would walk away with nothing. So I played along. I said nothing. I didn't beg, I didn't argue, I didn't accuse. I let them believe they had already won. Because the best revenge is never emotional. It is administrative. Paperwork, signatures, legal authority, prepared months before they even realized they were at war. I started digging, not through their phones, but through the documents that truly mattered. The mortgage, the deed, the accounts, the insurance, the wedding payments, everything they depended on. Every plan they made using my money, my credit, my name. I had been signing things for months, wires, contracts, loans. But they never checked the details. They assumed they were beneficiaries. They assumed they were protected. They were wrong. My lawyer and I had arranged everything years earlier when I first suspected my wife was still emotionally tethered to her ex. A precaution I thought was paranoid, but paranoia is just future wisdom. I didn't confront her when I found proof of their affair. Hotel registrations under alias names, shared accounts, pictures. I didn't ask. I didn't shout. I only watched, calmly, coldly. When the wedding planner emailed me for the last payment, I smiled. When the florist called to confirm the decorations, I approved.
When the DJ sent the contract, I signed. Because tomorrow they expected a celebration, and I intended to give them one, just not the one they envisioned. That night, while they slept peacefully in the home I owned, I packed only one suitcase: documents, cash, my passport. And then I made the single phone call that would change everything. "I'd like to finalize the sale." "Yes." "Tomorrow morning works." The realtor answered gleefully. The offer was already accepted. They thought the house was theirs. They were living on borrowed walls and borrowed dreams, and I was about to take it all back. The next morning, I left early. No goodbye, no explanation. At the law office, I signed the final documents transferring ownership. The buyers would move in that same evening. Then I canceled the wedding orders. Every input, every vendor, every reserve, all of it. Not out of spite, out of justice. They used my love like a financial institution, so I repossessed everything they built it on. By noon, their phones were exploding with cancellation notices. By 2 p.m., the house was emptied. By 4 p.m., the locks were changed. Emily called me while I was boarding a private jet. "Where are you?" she demanded, her voice cracking for the first time. "I disappeared," I replied. Silence, realization, panic, and I felt nothing. Her last words before I hung up were a whisper. "What did you do?" I didn't answer. I arrived at my villa in Switzerland hours later. Marble floors, glass ceilings, silence. The life they assumed I could never build without them. I sent only one message to Peter's mother. "You wanted me gone." So I left. No insults, no threats. Just truth. Her reply was a single grainy photo. She was standing outside the empty home. Our home. Now someone else's. And then the calls began. She called 71 times. Peter called too. The boldness was gone. The entitlement was gone. All that remained was fear, need, dependency. The same dependence they mocked me for. I blocked them both. Weeks later, my daughter-in-law called. Entitled, cold. "If you want to join Thanksgiving, come wash the dishes." I looked at the snow over the Swiss mountains, at the life I built without any of them. I replied with only one word: enjoy. Then I sent her a single photo of the villa. Silence. Then begging. Then regret. I read each message without emotion. Because the truth is simple. People think they own you until they realize you were the one holding everything together. I didn't leave out of weakness. I left because I finally understood the most painful truth. Some people don't deserve closure, not even a goodbye. And as I put down my phone, I felt nothing but clarity. Because in the end, I didn't lose them. I removed them.